Thank you. Thank you, John Doe. Thank you all for attending this amazing event, the Beauty Insiders event with Pink Noire. I want to send a huge shout out to Bree Salisbury for connecting me with Chasity. Yes, she is amazing. At this time, I want to introduce Chasity Monroe. She was nominated. I don't know if you guys know this. She was nominated for Best New Business by the Memphis Business Journal. That means out of all of these small businesses, she was in the top 3 in the city of Memphis. That is a huge accomplishment. Chasity has been featured in Essence, Black Enterprise, and plenty more publications. Now, Chastity's focus is on, of course, Black-owned products, knowledge about beauty and skin products, and of course, she has beauty and skin experts in this amazing, amazing building. Her goal is to create an elevated space for Black women to feel beautiful and valued. Put your hands together for Chasity Monroe. Yes. Come on, my beautiful soror. Yes, I found out today that we were sorors. John Doe gave me the 411 FAMU.
First and finest.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
FAMU Rattler. Beta Alpha chapter of Alpha.
Beta Alpha. I love it.
Yes, ma'am.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for letting me come into your space and pod with you today. Before Bree even contacted me, I said, I got to get on the podcast because I saw all of the press and all of the publications about Pink Noire. So I know it has been an amazing journey. How do you feel today?
I feel great. I mean, just seeing all these beautiful faces, everybody's just snatched to the gods today. All of this support from Black women and men. Listen, I am on cloud 9, so yes, I'm feeling good.
Okay, well, we're going to get right into it about your business of Pink Noire. You know, normally on Verbally Effective, I get all in your business, but for the time's sake, we are going to stick to Pink Noire. So let's start at the beginning. I want you to tell us the importance of why representation matters for you as a business owner.
Yeah, so I think it's even a step further. It's equity matters, right? And so as we talk about like the beauty industry, the Black beauty industry, which is like a $9 billion with a B dollar industry, it's kind of, you know, it makes no sense that we are not as prevalent as we should be. And so, you know, if we're not in those rooms, then it's hard to imagine that there are going to be products, there are going to be places, there are going to be, you know, any type of atmosphere that's really going to be for us, right? And so I wanted to change that. I wanted to change the paradigm. And so I wanted to just kind of bust open those doors and, you know, just say like, yeah, you know, y'all are making this money off of us, but if y'all gonna do that, y'all need to listen to us. Y'all need to treat us how we should be treated, because if this is a $9 billion industry, then listen, like y'all got a long way to go in terms of providing that customer service that we absolutely should get and deserve. So yeah, that is really more, I don't even want to say representation, it's equity.
Yes.
It's equity.
Equity. So. And we kind of talked about this a bit, Chasity, before we sat down. Out of $9 billion, we need a piece of that pie. And let's talk about who controls the beauty industry for a second. At this point in time, who controls the gamut?
I mean, I think if you just go to 10 beauty supply stores, you'll see who is there, right? And that's primarily Koreans.
Okay.
And then we also have Arab. And then you might find 0.5 Black-owned
0.5?
Maybe.
That's very small.
It's very small. Less than 5% of beauty supplies are owned by not just Black women, Black people in general. So, and most of the time, the owners are immigrants. So it's not even that they're, you know, have been here for a while and may understand, you know, but they're immigrants. So I think that ultimately that says a lot. And I just, you know, I think during the pandemic, when we all were trying to figure it out, like all of us that's, you know, not necessarily stylists or cosmetologists by trade, we're trying to get ready for our Zoom calls. And baby, we don't have our salon visits. We don't know what to do. And so going into those places and just I remember specifically going into one place here in Memphis, not too far from here, and it was raining. I tell the story all the time because I'm still floored. But as the rain was coming, like the ceiling tiles were missing, and the rain was like literally like hitting the product. And they did not give a damn. I don't know if I can say damn, but they did not care. And there were still so many of us shopping because it's the pandemic. We're still trying to like get our things. They didn't, so they didn't supply any customer service. I didn't even feel comfortable asking them questions because I'm like, okay, I'm usually a silk press girl. But baby, I don't, at this point, I'm, curly. I don't know what kind of serums to put on my hair. And I don't feel comfortable even asking, like, you, because you're already, like, on me, like I'm about to steal a $2 piece or whatever. So, for me, that was just like, okay, this ends now. And that is kind of what really pushed me to want to do this.
Amazing. Now, you said Black individuals are less than 0.5%. Do you think it's because, is it a hard barrier of entry to get into, or we just don't want to do that, or the Korean, they control the space and they won't let us in? What is the issue?
I do think it's a mix. I do think it is a huge barrier to entry. It's no secret, like they control the market. So, right, if they're not only the beauty supply owners, but they're also the vendors, and they also own the
That's
brand.
a lot of control.
It's a lot of control. And so they don't, I'm not going to say all of them, but they really have no interest in us getting in on that at all. Like, for what, right?
Yeah.
Because at this point, they're able to really finance generations and generations of their own folks. So if we're getting in, then we're cutting in on that, right?
Yes.
And so I personally experienced it myself, where there's been times where I know what the minimum is, but it'll be like quadruple because they know I'm Black. Right. And so it's already hard for Black women, even though we're the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the U.S., but it's hard for us even to get capital. It's a lot of the resources needed. It's already hard for us in that regard. But then when you're coming in and trying to, give us quadruple the minimum, like that's insane. We're already struggling to just try to have this business open. Yeah. And you want to make it harder for us in that regard. So, I've just had to fight back, like, pen and paper, like, oh, I'm going to be the Black Karen. Oh, you want to do this?
Come on, Black Karen.
I'm going to write my little email, even though I don't even have that kind of time. I'm going to write my email to corporate, copy the CEO. Google is my friend. And I'm going to be like, listen, I know that this is not right. And once you start, saying those buzzwords, discrimination, this, that, and the third, then things change. But you can't just let nobody hammer you down. You gotta fight.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
In this business, you gotta fight.
You got to. So you ready for the fight? You in the fight?
I'm in the fight.
You in it?
I'm in the fight. Now, I get a little tired. Yeah, but I'm in the fight.
Yes. Oh wow. Well, I know that you have a corporate background. You used to work at Procter and Gamble. Yep. How has that corporate experience prepared you for building this empire you have?
Yeah, so let me tell y'all, first of all, so I started working for Procter right out of college. So I went to FAMU, shout out to the Rattlers. And so I had my MBA, and I was recruited to P&G, which was like a dream job. I think I had like the top offer in my class. So I was like, yes, I got this job. I'm excited. I got a 6-figure job right out of college. This is great. But then I get there, so I'm born and raised in Memphis, right? Went to HBCU, great. And then I'm in Cincinnati. And it's just like, baby, this not it. Like, I do not.
This not what you thought.
This is not it. And so as much as I loved, the idea of, like, I was on a brand team, and I actually have worked on many of the items that are in your household. So you think about Tide, Febreze, Dawn. I've worked on all of those, and I worked as a consumer insights manager. So essentially, my job was to tell P&G like what the consumer really wanted from that brand, right? So I was doing a lot of focus groups, a lot of market research. That was my contribution to these teams. And so on my last project, I actually worked in hair care. I worked on color. I worked on Clairol and Wella. And so there were two brands, which y'all probably know. Jazzin is one of them. And so it was a black brand. And so we started having a lot of these. Now, P&G invests a lot of money in focus groups, really trying to figure out like how to do it right. And so in those conversations, even though we were talking about hair dye, I would hear black women talking about the frustrations of going in beauty supplies, not really understanding and knowing like what's right for them and what's wrong. Like everybody can't afford to go to the salon every 2 weeks, right? But you still want to be cute. Yep. And this was kind of before it was so many like vlogs and blogs about like hair and natural hair and what to do. But in that, I felt like it resonated with me being a black woman. And it was like that nugget that said, okay, there is a problem that has not been solved. There's a market that exists, a huge market, and they want more and they deserve more. And so I think that was like the implant of the egg that, you know, has kind of, yeah.
Yes. Amen. Amen. So from a business standpoint, Chasity, who have been some of your biggest allies?
Yeah. First, I like to say, because one of them is actually in here. Well, two of them actually. I like to definitely give a shout out to my husband.
Okay.
Because
shout outs to hubby.
Yes.
Yes.
Because when I first told him about this, he was just looking at me like I had grown 3 heads. Like, beauty supply, what kind of money? Like you know, being a man, not really knowing the beauty, he was just like.
That was initially.
Yes, initially. Okay. And I think he is a businessman. And so once, you know, I really made him understand, like, this is the size of prize. This is the issue. This is like, you know, he's like, okay, I got it. All right. So, you know, he's definitely, you know, we are 100% self-funded. And so, you know, he has just been down for me from the beginning, like pushing me when I'm like, oh, I'm tired. This is so much. He's like, no, this is your dream. I believe in you. You can do it. And so if I have to shout out any ally, it absolutely has to be him. So thank you.
Let's give a round of applause for hubby in the building. A big support. Now you said two are in here. Okay, so we got hubby.
I'll say this. You know, one of the biggest things is when you have a business is getting known, right? Yes. Like letting people know that you're here. It's like I've been listening to Grant Cardone, and he's like, well, if nobody knows who you are, they can't possibly support you. Even if they want you or want to support you, they can't because they don't know who you are. So that marketing, that advertising is very important. So one of the first people who have ever like made me go viral, actually it's two, was Shakira.
Let's go, Shakira.
Came up in here and she was just like, she did this real quick, cute reel. I was like, oh yes, thanks. And then I look up and then it gets reposted by Unapologetically. And so we got
Unapologetically so in the building. Unapologetically Memphis, Mr. Marcus.
Yes. So that was the essential like ally for me, like just to even have that type of audience. And it's so funny because I told him I've been a long time fan of Unapologetically.
I think we all are huge fans of Unapologetically Memphis.
And so for him to like just repost that, like really started to put me on the map. And I can't, there's no amount of dollars that I could have paid for that. So for him to do that, that to me was just like allyship, you know, to the nth degree, and he's continued to do that. So it's just, you know, folks coming in here, making those reels, putting it on social media, and then people like unapologetically reposting it. Like those have been my biggest allies at this point, and they're literally it like my gratitude for even y'all being here is just like on 10. But that's really been it.
Yeah. And it feels good to get that support in Memphis, because Memphis is such a tough market. I don't know if a lot of you know that, but it is. But it's great to have that support, especially with a new business.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes,
we do. Yes, we do. Because I'm a natural girl, honey, and I've been walking around looking at your products. I need everything up in here, one of each.
And
one of
we
each.
Sell it to you, baby.
All right, now there is a huge trend, and this probably makes just good business sense of e-commerce with products. What made you chose to do a brick and mortar shop?
So I'll say this. Now, I went to grad school at Columbia, and while I was there, I took an entrepreneurship class. And so it was really kind of that laid the foundation of like, how do I need to be thinking about issues, problems, and how can I solve them and, bring it to market, right? So one of the first concepts was MVP, which is minimal viable product, right? So I knew from P&G that the issue, a lot of it was experience driven, right? Customer service driven. So while I could have come up with, let's say, an app or like a website, let's just say this. First of all, getting through the clutter of being online is very difficult. And then you have your Amazons, you have your Walmarts, like
True.
It's extremely difficult to break through that. But even if that's the case, I knew that the experience and the customer service was what was really missing. So it couldn't necessarily be an online thing. It really needed to be like in the flesh, in person.
Yeah.
And it really needed to combat like, the brick and mortars that you see in the beauty supply space currently. So my MVP was brick and mortar, but I'll tell y'all, if y'all ever came when it first opened, it was literally only like, y'all see that little rod and that curtain? It was just like from there to the front of the store. That's all I had. So it was like, all right, I'm going to get the feedback from this. I'm going to see if this actually works. And if it does, we'll expand, which is what we did. But if it don't, maybe I got to go back to the drawing board. And so, that was kind of my MVP. But I knew from what I had heard, it had to be brick and mortar. It was just no other way.
Because you're creating an experience here.
Right.
So let's talk about that experience. As a Black woman, we often frequent beauty supply stores and we have different experiences. We don't always find what we need, right? So how will Pink Noire address the needs of Black hair care, and how will the shopping experience look here at Pink Noire?
Yeah, so I think, again, I always think about my own experience. And so sometimes we come in here, we know exactly what we want and need. That's great. But a lot of times, because of the versatility of our hair, listen, if I'm in braids or if I even decide to do like, a wash and go, I'm like, there's new products on the market. Like there may be something better for me that I don't even really know about. And so what I wanted for Pink Noire is for you to be able to come up in here and just be like, yo, I'm trying to do this. I'm not really sure. Can you help a sister out? And we have the industry knowledge, the product knowledge to be able to not only provide the brand, but tell you how to use it to make sure that your maintenance, whatever style that's desired, is going to be on point. Because, like my grandma used to say, I don't want nobody around here looking foolish. Like, I want y'all, like everybody needs to feel confident and comfortable that when they come to a space, they'll have the brands, but they'll also have someone who they can talk to outside of their, cosmetologist that can really like point them in the right direction. And so Pink Noire's tenets, we say, is threefold, right? So it's the brands, obviously having the brands and highlighting Black-owned brands at that. But also, the customer service piece, the product knowledge, like the beauty advisors here, actually, a lot of them are in the industry. And we do trainings. Like our master trainer is actually here. I don't know where she is, but we do Tisha. So
hi, master trainer.
So Tisha actually came from like one of the big box retailers where she did the training there. So when I tell you she knows her stuff, she knows her stuff. And so we invest in our beauty advisors. We make sure that, we go go through the fundamentals. We talk about like what the products are here, what's the new stuff here, and we also give them an allotment. So, you know, not only are we saying, okay, you need to know that it does this, that, and the third, you're also going to be able to try the product so that you know firsthand how it works, so you can advise in the right way. And then the third piece is the aesthetic. So we wanted to make sure if you came in here, you felt like, you know, you were in the right place.
Black girl luxury.
Yes, black girl luxury. So.
Yes. So let's talk about the outlook for Pink Noire. What will things look like for you with Pink Noire in the next year versus the next 5 years?
Yeah, so you know what, I'm gonna just be vulnerable and put it out there. So what I would like to do in the next year is have another Pink Noire. Honestly,
yes, you can do it.
Not just in Memphis, right?
Yes.
Like I want to be able to go to another market that really needs us, and maybe that's a Birmingham, that's Atlanta.
Go global.
Maybe that's a Jackson.
Go global.
I mean, hey, it's curly girls everywhere.
Yes,
so,
it is.
You know,
yes, it is.
In that year, that's what I'd like to do. I think in the next 5 years, you know, I can't talk like empowerment of women without extending opportunity. And what I'd love to do is be able to have a franchise model by then, so that we can have multiple women being able to get into this. And
I see somebody interested in the franchise. Okay.
So that would be my 5 years.
Yes, so this is the blueprint.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the blueprint.
And
I love
I'm
it.
glad that is Pink Noire Memphis is exactly that. So.
Yes, and it's much needed in a city where the majority is African Americans.
Absolutely.
It's amazing that, you know, we're just not talking about this, or this business exists.
Yes, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's, again, I think we've talked about some of the barriers, right? So it's not like we don't want to do it. There's just a lot of barriers, and I am blessed to, you know, be able to be where I am. But it has not been without, you know, it's not because I'm just so great or so smart or so whatever. It's just been by the grace of God that I've been able to have this business. And, you know, my family and just that type of support. But, you know, I think the more of us that get into it, the easier it is for others to follow. And, you know, we'll be, you know, maybe in the next 5 years, we'll be 15% and we'll keep growing. So.
Yes. Who have been some of the Black women that have inspired your journey?
Yeah, so I don't know if y'all have had any drinks. You probably have. But, you know, I actually highlighted them in the names of the drinks.
Okay.
So the first one is actually Lady D.
Okay.
And that's my mom. And she's actually
Lady D. Shout outs to Lady D. Hey, mama.
So
she is gorgeous.
Yeah. So Lady D, obviously, she's my mom, and she's been my biggest supporter. And, you know, my mom was actually a teen mom. Okay. And so, you know, yeah, she has just, when I tell y'all, you know, I never even knew my mom was a teen mom because she was so hard on me. I'm like, girl, are you really? Because, baby, you on top of me. But that to say, she's always, like, pushed me to be my very best and inspired me. And she's, like, always just made a way out of no way. And I think in that, it made me know if my mom, you know, has been able to do the things that she's done with what she's had, and she's made so many sacrifices to give me what I have, baby, I don't have a choice. Like, you know, I have to do these things because if she was able to do it, I definitely should be able to do it, and it gives me that motivation every time.
She looks so proud of you over there looking at you, too. Shout out to
Mind
mama.
you, she was in a whole boot, y'all. She ain't even want y'all to see that, but she was in a whole boot and came in here with her shoes on, like ain't nothing happened. So thank you, Ma. I appreciate you. But the other two are my deceased grandmothers. And so so one is Dr. B, who was my, the ancestor. So Dr. Helen Jean Broughton, she actually PhD, you know, worked for NASA, just like, you know, I mean, when I tell you she's
you got a lot of Dr. B in you.
And she's also was a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha
yes.
But, you know, again, another person who, like, you know, in that time was able to accomplish all these things. And I'm like, you know, if you were able to do that, and literally she would tell me how in the summers, like she would go to college like during the year, and then in the summer she would be picking cotton. Right? Wow. So it's just like things like that is kind of like, you know, if you can do that, baby,
we can do anything.
Yes. And then the last is Miss Willie T, and that is also, that's my grandmother on my mother's side. And when I tell y'all, you know, her life was just inspiring in just that she didn't have a lot, you know, but she really put everything into her family. And when I tell you, I feel like my confidence came from her. It was like she would tell me, even if I felt like I didn't agree with something my parents had said, she would say, you know, do what it is you feel like is right, because your gut is always right. And it was like advice she was giving me that she didn't even necessarily have for herself, but she knew enough and was just convincing enough to instill it in me that it really made me who I am today. Like, she was literally like a domestic, like washing, like she would be like, yeah, I had to wash white people clothes and like do all of these things. But yet it was just like, even throughout the life that she had, like her ability to just inspire and tell me I could do everything, to the extent that I believed it. I was like,
yeah, when you hear that from your grandmother, it means a lot.
And I can. And so I think her words continue to, you know, just kind of be with me. And it makes me feel, again, just knowing the things that she had gone through and how she was still able to produce not only my mom but me and like a whole set of generations that, you know, have gone on to provide the legacy.
Amazing. Willie T, Lady D, Dr. B.
Dr. B.
Boom. Boom. I love it. So. All right, Chasity, we're about to get real Memphis.
Okay.
I'm going to need you to repeat after me. This is a segment we do on Verbally Effectives. Okay? Amen. Say mine.
Amen. Say mine.
This is a moment of transparency between you and I think amen, say man is the most appropriate words for this transparency. So just be honest, open, truthful about what I'm about to ask you. Okay. Now, we often hear that Black women don't support each other. We hear that. What has been your experience? Amen, say amen.
Okay. Amen, say amen. Okay.
Whether good, bad, both.
Yeah. So I am gonna be very truthful. You know what? Iyanla said this, right? Like, some people, you have to look at people and know that certain people only have a capacity to do certain things, right? So I don't even necessarily look at it when someone is negative or like, you know, just trying to spite me in a way that it's like, dang, that's just so crazy. I can't believe. It's like, no, that's their capacity. Like, due to whatever life experiences they've had, they feel like, you know, in their own way, they're trying to protect me from disappointment. And that's only because of what they've been exposed to and what they know. And so, yes, absolutely. There's definitely been situations where Black women have been like, well, I don't know why you want to do that, because, you know, people be stealing and, you know, and which we have had our first death, but, you know, that's one thing. But it was not a Black woman, I'll tell you that. But anyway, so I just feel like, you know, it's definitely happened, but I always feel like it's been from a place of trying to protect me from disappointment. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's just been my perspective. So yes, it's definitely been naysayers and people that's like, well, you know, Memphis folks don't want to see a Black woman with a Black beauty supply. So it's going to be hard for you and people not going to support you. And then, you know, I guess it's this thing of, even though I'm from Memphis, I haven't lived in Memphis prior to the pandemic. I was a New Yorker for the last 10 years. So I think I've also had people have been like, well, if you don't go through these certain people, you're not going to make it. Or,
no.
You know, yeah. So it's been a little bit of that. Yeah. But mostly it's been support. My Black women, y'all have held me down.
Great.
Down. I mean,
I love to hear it.
The support here has just been unbelievable.
Yes.
And just like you can sense that genuine nature. And I was also talking to Bree. We were just like yesterday, it's nothing like a Black woman from Memphis. Like our style, our flair, just how smart we are, our grind, our hustle. And it's like everyone who sees this, you know, sees what I'm doing, they see that they're doing similar things, and that's why they have that genuine love for me, you know, even though you don't know me from a can of paint. So I appreciate that, and it's just been so refreshing, especially especially in my hometown, to have that level of support. So.
Yes, I love to hear it. I love to hear the positivity with that. I noticed that you have a YouTube channel. Did you all know that my girl over here has a YouTube channel? Give them your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so it's actually Pink Noire.
Pink Noire.
If you go on, it's, Pink Noire. But we started like really just trying to like document this whole crazy process. So y'all, it's been crazy. Just trying to this was like before any of this stuff was in here, just trying to pass inspections, like going through, like being in the pandemic, trying to get people out here to, get us going. But, just ups, downs, hiring. It's a really good show. So I really hope that y'all kind of
check it out. I really enjoyed the content that you have on it. It was well produced. I learned a lot about you prior to us sitting down. What I do want to know, with the final question for A-Main,
okay.
I noticed that it looks like you were walking through a trade show, maybe a beauty trade show.
Yes.
I really want you to walk us through your experience as a Black woman, as you go through a trade show, as a Black woman, Black business owner in this industry that we have less than 0.5% Black women. Tell us about your experience.
So it was interesting, and I knew it was going to be interesting because, first of all, it was in Atlanta. So I'm like, well, it's definitely going to be Black people there. I ain't going to worry about it. It's Atlanta. So, but when I got the application, it was all in Korean. So I said, okay, this is setting me up. I already know what I'm gonna be in for, right? So I get there, and literally that's exactly what it was. Like everything, the signage, everything was kind of in Korean, but all you saw was like Black faces on the promo.
In Atlanta, though.
In Atlanta.
That's crazy.
In Atlanta. I can tell you, I could count on one hand how many other Black business owners there were in general. And so and I'm not even sure that they were all business or beauty supply owners, because when I would approach any of the like vendors, they would like instantly grab my lanyard to see if I was a beauty supply owner. So they would ask me like, do you own a beauty supply? And I'm like, yes. And then they would like literally grab my lanyard.
Like, let me verify.
Yes. And so it was almost like, but it was like, I must be an alien. Like, this can't be true that you're actually a beauty supply owner. Now, after they realized that, it was all smiles. Okay,
she's gonna buy from me.
Yes, but when you were there, like, you just saw multi-generations of Koreans that were there, and when I tell y'all they were buying, baby, they were in there, they were buying and looking at me like I'm crazy, like, oh, she must be the help type of situation. You know what I mean? But I do think that it was an aha moment. It was something I knew, but being in it and not seeing us in there, but seeing us plastered all across, like, I mean,
exploiting us in the process.
It was insane. Now, I will say, and I don't want to come off like, oh, these Koreans are horrible, because I actually have one who is an executive, who was an executive for a big vendor, who has really kind of like mentored me on the side and just really given me great advice of how to move forward.
It seems like you would need one of those allies in this space regardless.
Yes. So not all, but I mean, it was, I don't want to say daunting, but like to the point that they were like following me with cameras. Like, I was just like a unicorn or something. It was interesting to say the least, but I think it just really was more motivation to not only progress my business, but to help other Black women get into this business as well.
Wow. Well, Chasity Monroe, you are amazing. Pink Noire, I wish you nothing but success with this business. You're supporting all of these Black women, and you want to see us become partners with you. I applaud everything that you're doing. Let's give it up for Chasity Monroe, the owner of Pink Noire. Let everyone know how they can continue to follow your journey. Let's get your social media handles. Of course, we know where you're located, but give them everything.
Yes, so Pink Noire, PINK_NOIRE is my Instagram. It's our Instagram. We're also on TikTok, same thing, PINK_NOIRE. Noire.
I will be doing TikTok. I like that.
Yeah,
you got to. Yes, it's a vibe.
Being an older millennial, it's a lot.
Yes.
But, I be trying. So Pink Noire, and then we have our website as well, and it's www.pinknoire pinknoire.com. But I do want to put a little bit of a teaser out there.
Go ahead.
So we're also trying to branch into our own Pink Noire brands, hair care brands.
I would love it.
So I want y'all
That's
to
the
be
move.
on the lookout, because I really want this to be an iterative process and a community process. Like, I want to make sure that this is the right product, and we don't just want it to be like a one size fits all. We want it to be like a quality product that everyone really will like, love, share, and it become a staple,
A staple.
and for the right reason. We ain't gonna be on no, lawsuit ads, years from now. So
natural hair and more.
Natural hair, and I have natural hair, but I also like to have my hair pressed. So I want to have that same versatility within the product. So be on the lookout.
Yes, I love it. That's a way for you to gain some of that control in this space.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. Absolutely. Any shout outs you want to do before we close the podcast?
Shout out to y'all, because y'all came in here looking so good. Thank you so much for even doing this, Ina.
I love it.
I really appreciate you coming in and like having the great questions, the questions that people probably want to ask and have not asked. But thank y'all so much for just the support, coming out here, not knowing me from a can of paint, and just saying, you know what, I'm gonna support this woman because she's a Black woman from Memphis, and I value that like to the nth degree, and that is why I wanted Pink Noire to be in Memphis. So thank y'all so much.
Amen. And Chasity, you are indeed verbally effective. Everyone, if you would do me a favor, please follow Pink Noire on all socials. Also verbally effective on all social media platforms, the YouTube channel as well, Ina Esco, because I'm going to have this young lady come and sit down in the studio with me very soon as well. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Sora Chasity.
Yes,
I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to all of the growth.
Yes, thank you.
And make sure you guys get one of those 3 drinks of the 3 beautiful Black women in Chastity's life. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.